It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. If the misery of the poor be caused not by the laws of nature, but by our institutions, great is our sin. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. The love for all living creatures is the most noble attribute of man. I am not apt to follow blindly the lead of other men. The constant pressure of natural selection leads to adaptation to one's circumstances. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. To kill an error is as good a service as, and sometimes even better than, the establishing of a new truth or fact. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. Man, with all his noble qualities, with sympathy which feels for the most debased, with benevolence which extends not only to other men, but to the humblest living creature, with his godlike intellect which has penetrated into the movements and constitution of the solar system, with all these exalted powers, man still bears in his bodily frame the indelible stamp of his lowly origin. It is not enough to do good, one must do the right way. The world will not be inherited by the strongest, it will be inherited by the most adaptable. In the long history of humankind, those who learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. I cannot persuade myself that a beneficent and omnipotent God would have designedly created the Ichneumonidae with the express intention of their feeding within the living bodies of caterpillars. We can allow satellites, planets, suns, universe, nay whole systems of universes to be governed by laws, but the smallest insect we wish to be created at once by special act. I am turned into a sort of machine for observing facts and grinding out conclusions. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. The most important scientific revolutions all include, as their only common feature, the dethronement of human arrogance from one pedestal after another of previous convictions about our centrality in the cosmos. It is those who know little, and not those who know much, who so positively assert that this or that problem will never be solved by science. I am not apt to follow blindly the lead of other men. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. A scientific man ought to have no wishes, no affections, a mere heart of stone,